Diablo Immortal just launched, and if you're like me, you want to be a offensive ranged glass cannon of a character, well, I got news for you. You're a wizard, Harry. That was terrible, and I love it. It's great. Whatever. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about a beginner's guide to getting started with the wizard, from the stats to the gear to the skills, and then some tactics to help you guys get from 0 to level 30 or so. So with that, let's dive in. How's it going, everybody? I hope that you're having an awesome time jumping into Diablo Immortal like I am. My name is Brandon with Killmark Collectors here, and I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. Now, today we're going to be focusing on the wizard class, and we're going to be looking at some ways for you guys to get up quickly to the point where you're really feeling like a very capable, fun character, maybe starting to do a little bit of the more challenging dungeons, things like that. So this guide is going to focus on kind of that 0 to 30 range. There's obviously going to be some things that are not really applicable once you get past that, but hopefully this will give you an idea of how to get started. First off, let's start with the stats. The key stats for a wizard are going to be intelligence and your willpower. Now, these are both going to help you increase damage and cast spells more quickly. Now, that being said, obviously, there are other attributes here. If I were to put the next ones down, fortitude and vitality, both of those are going to help increase your health points and resistances, but ultimately, you should be using more of your precision rather than your ability to take hits to survive. So just keep that in mind as we're going forward. Next up, we've got gear. And when we talk about gear in the first couple of levels, to be honest, it's kind of whatever you find that's the next best thing. You're not going to be looking for that in-game gear quite yet, and so rather than trying to focus on a specific type of gear, I want you to instead focus on the stat bonuses that you're going to be getting with each. If I look at this, I've got two identical pieces of gear in terms of the damage that they're causing. On the left here, I do have a overwhelming long staff of vision, which gives me willpower and intelligence, versus the overwhelming long sword of desire, which gives me vitality and willpower. Because I'm going for that intelligence and willpower bonuses, I want to focus on getting that piece of gear rather than the longsword. That's just going to be a little bit better suited to my character. In terms of gems and all of that, I personally like to apply as much damage as possible. Again, because I'm going to be kiting and I'm going to be shooting at people from a distance, hopefully being able to avoid their attacks altogether, so my best defense is to burn them down as quickly as possible. Being said, it's never a bad thing to have a little bit more armor and hit points in case you do get caught. So take that for what it is. Next, let's talk about the skills. And this is probably the most fun part of being a wizard, is that you get all these fun, fancy spells that you can cast to obliterate your enemies. We're going to start with the basic attack, which is just a standard ranged magical attack. It does upgrade into the ultimate, which is going to be the ice missile. That does carry a lot of extra damage, but also a chilling effect for a few seconds. So if you have a large mob, you can use this to kind of get away, slow them down a little bit, move across, and obviously just dish out the hurt. Next up, we've got Arcane Win. This is going to be one of your go-to spells. It's going to pair very nicely with the Scorch attack. I'm going to talk about that in just a second when we talk about tactics. But basically, Arcane Win is a cone-shaped area of effect. It does charge up, so you can hold down that button, and then it will actually knock back enemies as well. Disintegrate and Ray of Frost operate very similarly. You'll get Ray of Frost first. You will be able to basically hold this one down again. It shoots a long, straight beam and applies damage to anybody that gets caught in this. This is great for if you are trying to clear a dungeon, if you're trying to clear a hallway or something like that. You can get people to chase you, get in a straight line. You can really apply a lot of damage very, very quickly. Ice Crystal, this is an interesting one, and this is basically going to set up a giant ice crystal that will create a vortex almost, I guess, of damage that's going across, and then you can hit the button again to actually detonate that ice crystal and create a lot of damage throughout. Lightning Nova will send out a little burst of attacks in all directions and then come back to you wherever you are. Again, I'll talk about this more in kind of the tactics, but this is a really good one, again, if you do have a number of mobs following you. Scorch, this is a straight line area of effect. It does leave a burning trail after cast it for a couple of seconds. This will continue to damage enemies and pairs very well with the Arcane Wind. Finally, we have Teleport. This one is not really as useful, at least in my opinion, at the beginning levels. It might be a little bit later for you, but it's really meant more for positioning. In my playthrough so far, I really haven't needed to escape. I think that this is going to be more useful as a PvP than a PvE. So in terms of what you should start with, I would go with the Lightning Nova, Scorch, Arcane Wind, and then either Ray of Frost or Disintegrate, depending on where you are. I think this is the best combination, especially as you're trying to grind through those early levels, get up to that level 30. Now let's talk about tactics for a minute. So there are 3 basic things that you need to remember when you're playing as a wizard. First is that you are very squishy, so you should not be standing and just going toe to toe with enemy mobs. You should always be moving, you should always be pulling range, and just trying to use your offensive abilities again to kill those mobs before they actually get to you. The second thing to understand is that you can get certain combos when you use skills together. The one that I use and is my go-to is the Scorch and Arcane Wind. What happens is if you cast Scorch and then you use Arcane Wind, it blows over that kind of burning ember trail and creates a firestorm. This gives you additional damage and also really just kind of looks cool. By doing this, you can increase the damage, you can clear mobs more quickly. If you do it the opposite way, you don't get any kind of bonus or combo, and therefore it doesn't give you quite as much of a benefit. Number 3 is that you want to remember that mobs will follow you when you run away. Now this is really useful, obviously, for Ray of Frost or Disintegrate, because if you can get them into a straight line, they can all be hit by that same Ray of Frost. You don't have to move too much. But the other thing that's really nice is with Lightning Nova, when it shoots out, if you start moving away, the lightning will actually come back into a much shallower attack path, I guess, or re-entry path, and you can hit a mob with multiple of those little magical arrow thingies, whatever they are, and you'll end up doing more damage. So always be moving, always be trying to get those mobs into a straight line so that you can really apply that area effect, whether it's Scorch, whether it's Disintegrate, or whether it's the Lightning Nova. Either way, you'll always want to keep doing that. What do you guys think about this? Are these tips helpful? Let me know in the comments down below if there's anything else that you've found as you have been playing with the wizard. And until next time, be sure to like, subscribe, and let's go kill some stuff. Have a good one, y'all.